Hello sweet babe, welcome to Creating Happy with me, Gabriella Rosie. This is the show where I chat about creativity and art and psychology and life and how all of those things mash together. This episode I really want to get into that, into what creating happy means and why I feel the need to make this thing and have these conversations. Why I feel so damn excited about all of this stuff. You know, I spend so much time reading about and just sitting and thinking about what it means to be creative and what it feels like, what it even is to be a creative person or get to know our creativity really intimately and how we can then use it as a skill. I said this in the last episode, but this podcast is really a way to force me to think through all of this and understand it out loud. Yeah, just get more people in on the conversation so I can bounce off your ideas as well. So, creating happy. I am creating happy. Yeah. I guess what I really mean by this, or why this phrase feels really valuable to me, is because of the relationship between those words in my own life. Exploring my creativity and committing to it, allowing it to be this huge part of my life, has led me to a certain level of happiness that I've never known before, and a comfortability and confidence in myself and what I am capable of. My creativity and creative expression very much feels like who I am. Probably because when we create, we're literally expressing who we are. We're getting in control with creating who we are and sharing that beyond ourselves. So for me, making art, creating has quite literally created happiness in my life. I think this is actually why I talk about creativity so much and try and encourage everyone to be more creative and explore the creator within them, because I know how transformational it can be and what a huge power our creativity is. The relationship between creativity and happiness works both ways. Yeah, it feels good to create, but then also, the better we feel, the more confident we are to explore and express our creativity. Being happy can make us more creative. There's this tortured artist stereotype that just doesn't hold up. So boring. Feeling good makes us more inclined to feel free enough and expressive enough to explore our creativity. We feel more empowered to express ourselves when we feel good and in tune with ourselves. I'm just obsessed with this, right? You probably already know that I am an artist. I paint and illustrate and I write and I create in lots of different ways, but at the end of the day, I'm just an artist. That's the umbrella term. And that's the way that I mostly present myself to the world now as well. But I do have an honours degree in psychology and I don't really talk about it much, even though I don't want to be a psychologist anymore. But it is still a massive part of my life and a massive part of who I am as a person. Psychology and my obsession with how the brain works, how our beliefs and our behaviour interact, I think about this and study it constantly. I've been thinking more about creativity and psychology over the last year and what they mean together, and I feel like it's starting to make sense why I have these two obsessions, but I guess I just haven't known how to be both of them together. And it makes my online presence confusing or whatever, but in my mind, they are so interconnected that I just have to create something about art and psychology. It feels too important, and I don't know, maybe it exists somewhere, but I haven't been able to find it anywhere. I haven't been able to find anyone having the conversations that I am having with myself about art and psychology and creativity and personal development. And that is usually how stuff gets started, right? We want something to exist, so we make it ourselves. So what I feel really empowered to talk about, or just wanting to learn more about and just chat the shit about, is creativity and how we use it as a self-development tool. How we can make art as a way to get to know ourselves, whether that's through writing every day in a journal, which in itself is a really creative practice, or it's keeping a sketchbook and getting our thoughts out of our head and down onto paper. It's basically making something from our experience, making something from our reality and turning it into a thing that actually gives us the opportunity to process our thoughts, process our mental happenings, which gets us more connected with them. It allows us to understand them at a deeper level. And the act of making something from nothing makes us feel really good about ourselves. You know, from the beginning of time, humans have made stuff. We are innately creative beings, and it feels good. It feels good to make something from nothing. It feels good to make food or art or whatever it is that we are making. It has a start, it has a middle and an end. It's very complete, it's very satisfying. And I think a lot of us have forgotten or left that aside, and it's so powerful to reconnect with your creative self and feel how much you're capable of creating and find your own personal empowerment within that as well. So how do we make space for creativity in our lives? Is there a way that every single person can have a creative practice where we devote specific time to making stuff every single day? Or is it only for a certain few? I definitely think that everybody has creative abilities in so many different ways. Anything can be a creative act. It doesn't have to be the more typical things like painting or whatever. Everything is a creative act. And creativity is a skill that we need to train and we need to work on. So the more we don't explore our creativity, it will lapse. Our creativity will lapse out of, it's like a muscle. It will just get all flabby and not know what to do with itself. But the more that we use it every single day, we train that habit of thinking creatively, thinking to find solutions that don't already exist, thinking expansively instead of within certain criteria that is already pre-existent. So we train ourselves to think of the other, think of alternative, which really has the ability to change us at quite a core level. I think the more I have allowed myself to be creative, I've definitely looked at all aspects of my life and seen ways that I can be creative with those. Looked for alternatives that would suit me instead of settling for, I don't know, I guess what's pre-prescribed. I talk about a daily creative practice quite a bit, and I think that has just been the main way that seems feasible for everyone to just explore creativity without having the pressure of it having to be something. So Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way, is basically how to make your daily creative practice. She proposes to write 3 pages of a stream of consciousness in the morning, and when you wake up, your morning pages, just word vomit out all of the things that is floating around in your head, all of the things that your head has to say to you or when you wake up, which is nonsense, complete nonsense. But Julia Cameron's idea is that if we write all of this stuff out, we give ourselves an opportunity to process it, which actually makes space for us to have the deeper level of thoughts. It clears our mind to think at another level because we don't have all of that noise and chatter that all of these thoughts would have taken up. I'm obsessed with this. I love this idea. And I also think for people who maybe haven't been creative in a while or are unsure where to start with making creativity a part of their life, that the act of those 3 pages or writing out however much you feel like you want to, that act in itself is creative. Writing those pages out, that in itself is a way to be creative. So whether you do nothing else in the day that is creative, you will though, but whatever. If you do nothing else in the day that is creative, taking the time to physically put pen to paper and write out the thoughts that are in your head, it shifts you to a place of creating something. So yeah, it's complete nonsense, but at the end of the day, you've created 3 pages of writing that did not exist before. Put in the work to create something from nothing. And that slowly adjusts our thinking, our mindset, our state of being to a place where it becomes more normalized to create. So we're more likely to be creatively expansive in other parts of our life. I think if we actively look at and seek ways that we can feed more creativity into our lives, whether that's through writing out your morning pages, or for me a lot of the time it's doing a sort of sketchbook diary where I'll just word vomit or doodle or whatever, but the act of just filling some pages with some stuff. That's as simple as it is. If we're able to build these processes of just making something every single day as a habit and just exploring what that can mean in our lives. I know that Jerry Seinfeld has this process where he writes jokes every single day and it's like he marks it off in his calendar. So the motivation there is to continue the streak of daily creativity, to make sure that even if it's crap what he writes on a day or it doesn't turn into anything, it's just keeping up the habit of making stuff every day, because then that's training the muscle, that's making us feel more open to continue creating stuff because it doesn't allow space to feel blocked. Yeah, so how can you create stuff every day? Look into ways that you would feel really good, really empowered and excited to sit and spend some time working on building your creativity every single day. And dude, it has massive, profound impacts. Huge. I think that's what I wanted to say today. I don't know what this podcast is going to be, but I'm going to keep making it until I figure it out. Yeah. Let me know if there is anything that you want me to talk about, or if you're as excited about creativity and psychology and what they mean together as much as I am. And I will be back again with another episode next week. Yeah. Thanks a billion for listening. Bye.